This is a very detailed video, so please feel free to use the timestamps or chapters to skip to what you'd like to see. This is also my first time voicing a video. Please let me know on how I did and how I could improve. There are two things to note during the video. Firstly, I'm using a key visualizer so you're able to see my inputs and ensure I'm not misinputting or doing things wrong. I'll leave the link to it in the description if you're interested in trying it. Secondly, you'll notice in a majority of videos I'm placing waypoints ahead of me. This is so you can better see the start and end points of the slides. Whereas sliding on top of the waypoint can't show you distances as well until I turn around to look. When sliding, you can hold the direction of where you're going to speed up. And you can also use this to move side to side as well. Holding the opposite direction makes you slow down or stand up. As a note, holding the sprint button does not make you go faster. It will make your character get up to run, so don't hold it too long. Keep this information in mind since I'll show my tests both with and without inputs. You can also see that looking around while sliding does not make a big impact on the distance you slide. You'll lose 1 or 2 meters at most, but being able to look around while sliding can be helpful in checking your surroundings while on the move, or even shooting while moving. Knowing this, you can slide spin, which just helps pass the time while going to your destination. Regardless of which direction you slide in, you'll be able to slide the same distance, which I'm showing you here. The only reason you slide less backwards is because you run slower backwards. But if you slide on the same slope, all directions will actually be identical. You might have experienced your sliding being different on different terrain, so I've categorized these into 3 different types: rough, medium, and smooth. Of course, the terrain is variable and cannot simply have just 3 differences, but these are how I found them to be most noticeable. Rough stops you almost immediately upon sliding, as you can see here. Medium lets you slide with a bit of resistance, but you tend not to go farther than sliding on smooth, flat surfaces. Because it's a bit harder to see or notice, I provided a side-by-side, where the left is the first frame I press crouch, and the right is when I stop moving. The difference here of course varies by the slope, but it should be much greater than sliding on smooth, flat surfaces, which is 10 meters. This shows that there is resistance in the terrain here. Smooth lets you slide almost completely without resistance. You can see here, even on this slight incline, I'm able to slide beyond the default 10 meters. Now here's the interesting thing. You would assume that the roughness would apply to the way the terrain looks. For example, you might say the floor of dam battlegrounds would be more slippery around the dam and less around the rocky areas. However, this is not reliable. I'm showing you here an example of these inconsistencies in every map. The highlighted word is the type of terrain I'm on. You can see that despite my inputs being identical or near identical, my character is for some reason finding parts of identical looking terrain to be rougher. Now, using this knowledge, we can test slip and slide. First things first, on flat, smooth ground, there is little to no difference between not having the skill and having the skill. You can see here, the distance you get is the same. This also applies to ice. I'm even going to show you here the difference in sliding 100 meters. The first clip, I'm holding down the direction I'm sliding until my character stops by himself. The second, I'm just holding down run and forward while sliding. If you're wondering about why I'm not running out of stamina, these were taken before 1.7.0. But don't worry, the only change was the stamina penalty. Everything here is still accurate. Due to human error, I cannot perfectly time my slides, but I did my best. However, the tiny results show you that flat ground provides no difference. And even if there is, it's crazy small. The main difference you'll see with this skill is when you're going down slopes. I'm going to specifically use stairs and certain inclines that don't have varying angles. This will hopefully make the results more accurate. For all the speed tests, I will now briefly pause for 1 second and provide a timer. This will show you the points at which I've taken my data from. I'll also let the clips and timers run on a bit, just in case you'd like to take your own data from the video. You'll also notice I'll be only timing for even numbered seconds. This is to make division not result in a recurring number or other when calculating speed. And if you're wondering why I start during the slide and not the beginning or during the entire slide, it's because you slow down towards the end and I want to avoid human error at the beginning. I start the timer at the exact frame that I see the change in meters. Here, we'll test the difference in how far you travel with the skill and without. As I said before, I'm showing you what it's like when you hold down the direction of travel and when you don't do anything. As you can see, Slip and Slide 5 provides you around 3 to 7 extra meters sliding, whilst the difference between Slip and Slide's no input and input results provide you an extra 3 to 4 meters. Here, we'll test how fast you go with and without the skill. Strangely enough, there's no difference when you don't input. If there is a difference, it's extremely small. Finally, we'll see the difference with an input. Once again, the brief pauses will show you exactly when I start and stop the timer. As you can see, it provides you a 0.5 meters a second increase in speed. Whilst I haven't provided clips of each point in Slip and Slide, I hope it would make sense that each point in Slip and Slide would provide a 0.1 meters per second increase in speed. In summary, on flat ground, there's no difference in speed or distance. In terms of how far you'll slide, it will probably be around 3 to 6 meters greater than without the skill. Holding down the direction of travel grants you 3 meters extra than without input. In terms of how fast you slide, there's no difference if you're not holding down in the direction of travel. Slip and Slide 5, however, grants 0.5 meters per second faster sliding than without the skill. We can assume that each point grants an extra 0.1 meters per second increase in speed. However, if you'd like me to test this, let me know. Jumping just before the end of a zipline will carry your momentum onto your slide. As you can see, a change in the slope will extend your slide. By nudging up against this higher slope, I can extend my slide. Thanks for watching.